After the release of Demonophobia met with many negative reviews, nobody expected a sequel for the game. That is, until October 2008, a demo for a game with a similar atmosphere to Demonophobia was published. That game is simply titled Xenophobia. However, instead of being released as a full game, Xenophobia would be released as a demo instead, meaning that the game would have a full version coming soon. But that never happened because after the release of the second demo, in December 2009, creator 237 cancelled the game without any answer given to this day.
Dark, dark and cold. I think I know why this has happened to me. This is what I always wanted. It was necessary to uncover the truth. I created the chance for them. It was easier to do it on an empty street. Everything should have gone the way I wanted. But something is strange. Intuition tells me that something... It's insane. I can't just sit here forever. Luckily, my hands and legs are okay. I have to act now. Even so, it's cold. I have to do something about it.
The game begins with our main character, Hatsuka Towada, waking up in a dark room. Feeling the ground, hoping to find something that could light up the place, she felt something cold and heavy as she searched the floor. She knew instantly what it was from the shapes alone. It's a gun. She's scared to take it, but given the place she's at right now, being scared of a gun is the least of her worries. Not too far from where she woke up, she found a lighter. Exiting the room, she heard a loud static-like noise not too far ahead. Thinking it could be someone, she rushed forward only to find out it was not another human, but a weird creature that shoots spikes when it gets close to her. She runs away from it, barely missing the spikes, and arrives in a room with a triangular drawing and a locked door with 3 circles on its door. Next to the door is a writing that might provide some hint.
Someone stole my precious painting. In the sky is the sun, in the west is the lake, in the east is a small forest. It was very dear to me, but someone stole it. It was my precious painting. If you don't give back, there will be death punishment. Death punishment by hanging.
The wall writing didn't provide much hint, but Hatsuka managed to figure out what it meant. Side note here, the game's last demo, which is version 0.22, removed a huge chunk of Hatsuka's origin. We'll talk more about this at the end of this video, but just know that she's a genius girl with over 190 IQ, so something like this wouldn't be a problem for her to figure out. Backtracking a bit, she came across a room with a blue stone on the floor. Could this be the key? It resembles the previously locked door with 3 round shapes. If that's the case, there are 2 more she needs to find. Going further down the hall, she came into a room with bloody writings on the wall that repeated the word help multiple times. The next important item she's searching for is sitting on a pool of blood on the floor. It's a green stone. After exiting and exploring a little more, she discovered a room at the end of the corridor that contained the last key item she needed, the red stone. With all 3 stones obtained, Hatsuka returned to the previously locked room. After placing the stones correctly, the door opens to a long stairs that led her into a room. Inside that room was a grotesque monster that Hatsuka must kill to proceed to the next area. Alright, let me interrupt here for a bit. This is the easiest boss so far, and it's also one of my favorite. Maybe it's because I've already experienced how hard Demonophobia is. Anyway, this boss has 3 attacks. The first one is the slash. This one can go 2 ways. It's either a horizontal slash or a sideways slash. The second attack is the one where it throws a circular blade that'll bounce back and forth. Later on, when you deplete its health, it will throw 2 of them at once. And the last one is what I call the shield slam. It slams the shield on the ground, stunning Hatsuka and opening her up to its slash attack. Now, initially, I had a hard time with this because I didn't notice the bullet was not doing any damage when I shot it in the front. So once I figured out that I had to shoot it from behind, it gets easy from there. Also, I don't know if this is the strat for this boss, but I found out that sticking to the corner and running back and forth is much easier than going back and forth through the entire hall. The only time I had to go to the other side was when I used up all my ammo. Against all odds, she kills the monster and this allows her to move to the next area. Entering a new area, Hatsuka saw a strange blue and red door that appeared to be locked. There's a hatch that led her down further into what seems to be an underground area. As she wandered this area, she came across a room that had a cryptic message written on the wall. The guiding mark is hanging in mid-air. Close your eyes and count the stars. Hoping to find the answers to this cryptic message, Hatsuka explores the underground area further, and finally, she enters a room with a lot of eyes on the wall. She continues as there seems to be some sort of stairs that take her up. She saw something hanging once she reached the top. Hatsuka shot that thing out of curiosity and something came out. Going back down, it seems that whatever it is that was in that hanging thing was still alive despite it looking like it's been digested and unrecognizable. It dropped a small key which was used to open the lock hatch that took her deeper underground. In the deepest level, she saw another writing on the wall that read, "Beyond this point is the meat processing plant. Flowing water contains elements that decompose meat into small pieces. A dog, a cat, a pig, a human, a small girl, anything would quickly get sloppy and rotten. On a higher floor, there's a room to make the water eventually stop flowing. To stop the water, try rotating the correct lever." Whoever left this was probably trying to help anyone who made it this far. Picking up the key lying on the ground, Hatsuka returned to the upper floor to turn off the flowing water, and here she is presented with a lever puzzle. I'm gonna interrupt here again because I need to talk about this puzzle. This puzzle alone is a major pain in the ass, mainly because of how convoluted it is to solve it. What I meant by this is that the answer for this puzzle is different for everyone. So the hint that we're given told us to count the stars. These stars can be found in the room where there's a bunch of eyes on the wall. So you need to turn off your lighter and count the stars in the air. Now here's where things get complicated. The numbers you get might not be the same as the one I got. So for instance, in my playthrough, I got 15 stars, and yours could be different. It could be 2, it could be 10, it could be whatever. But now that you got the number, how do you use it on the lever? Here's the thing. I spent 2 hours nearly going crazy thinking about how exactly am I going to put the number 15 in this lever puzzle. Do I have to add, subtract, divide, multiply? What do I have to do here? And then, when I'm close to giving up, I got an idea. What if I use binary code? So I put in the number 15 in a binary converter and I got the number 1111. So I changed all the lever direction to 1. And you know what? That did the trick. How am I supposed to figure out that I need to use binary code to do this puzzle? After much trials and error, Hatsuka managed to solve it. Wasting no time at all, she quickly went back on the ground to see what was there, and she met the final boss of the area. A shadowy monster that is unkillable unless it is exposed to light, which luckily for Hatsuka can be obtained by killing a misty looking monster that dropped a flash grenade for some reason. With all the tools in her hands and a determination to leave this place, she successfully kills the monster. At the end of this room, she obtains a blue medallion which unlocks the blue door at the beginning of this area. Returning to that place, she unlocks the door, and this is where the game ends. So the second demo of Xenophobia, which is version 0.22, removes a text file that contains interesting information about the story and character of Xenophobia. In that text file, it contains information about Hatsuka's background, the monster, and how she ended up in this situation. So the text file stated that Hatsuka is a genius girl with over 190 IQ, but she has a weird personality. Even in harsh and difficult situations, she remains strong and has the ability to take action. This is evident that she does not hesitate to use the gun to protect herself. Now, because of her IQ, she is extremely smart and does everything flawlessly. So much so that no one is able to scold her. This became a problem because it got to her head and she became arrogant and sometimes doesn't reflect much about her action. One day, she was kidnapped by someone, and when she woke up, she was in a small, dark, strange room. The text file also mentioned a few more characters which never appeared in the last demo. Apparently, there's supposed to be a cult that worshipped an entity called Mother, but everyone was killed except for one girl named Setsuna Kannagi. She's a girl that belongs to the cult, but she doesn't really like them. She's timid and pessimistic, but she knows something about the monsters. I guess she's supposed to be this character where we met her and get to learn more about what are these monsters and their origins. And then the last character mentioned is Seiichiro Towada, Hatsuka's father. Apparently he was a scientist, which explains why Hatsuka have a really high IQ. And he was in charge of something called Project Xeno before his apparent death 3 years ago. So with this information presented, here's how I believe the story of Xenophobia supposed to go down before its cancellation. 3 years ago, Seiichiro Towada, who was the general manager of Project Xeno, committed suicide. Under normal circumstances, the project should have been suspended because the one leading it is dead. But it did not, and it kept going. Project Xeno is what I assume to be an experimentation which creates monster that is seen throughout Xenophobia. Sometimes after that, someone started a cult, worshipping a being simply known as Mother. This Mother that they worship could have been a monster created by Project Xeno. The Mother cult intend to create a world where it is ruled by the true master, and to do that, they needed someone capable of continuing what Seiichiro Towada had started. Knowing that he had a daughter with a genius IQ of 190, they kidnapped her. But before they could do anything, disaster strikes the place and wiped out all the cult members except for one girl named Setsuna Kannagi. Hatsuka woke up in a dark room, and this is where the game begins. So that's the entirety of Xenophobia. It's a short demo with only 2 levels made before it was cancelled for unknown reasons. There's only 2 demos available, but only version 0.22 is available to play. But even then, running this game requires a lot of effort, unlike Demonophobia where you just download it and play. While Xenophobia, you have to use a Japanese Windows XP to run this game. I think I spent a lot of my time configuring the game just so it could run properly. But if there's one thing I love about Xenophobia was that they improved a lot of things from the first game. Character's movement key is still the same, yet it felt much more fluid and easier compared to Demonophobia. She has better inventory system, and it also pauses the game, which I'm glad they did because it's really annoying in the first game when I tried to use a key for a door or use an item to damage a boss, only for Sakura to be attacked and interrupted with whatever she's doing. But the best part in all of this is that Hatsuka have a way to protect herself now. She can use a gun. Unlike Sakura, whose only method of surviving is either running away until the timer expired. I also like how there's finally music and sound effect in this game. You can finally hear how the trap will sound if you mess around with it, what sound does the enemy make if you get close to it, and there's a lot more. But that's not all. The game finally allows you to save as much as you want. This makes things a bit easier since I don't have to go back and get all the necessary items after I respawn. One thing I find weird is that a lot of the things in the first demo didn't make it in the second demo. Like how the first demo had this text file that explained Hatsuka's character and how she got into this mess. The second demo completely removes that and made Hatsuka a girl who lost her memory in a creepy dungeon instead. They also remove a monster that is known as Xeno, which can be encountered at the earlier level. But on the second demo, they were nowhere to be seen. It's like they rejected the first demo story, and then for the second demo they completely made something new only to stop and then cancel them altogether. But overall, this is a good sequel. It's a shame that it was cancelled because if it was developed further, it could potentially become another hit like Demonophobia. Anyway, I think that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out the first video about Demonophobia and stick around for the last entry of this developer's game. Subscribe and I will see you next time.